Movie Knuckles, the best version yet. Movie Knuckles, the best version yet. A character that's a rival of Sonic the Hedgehog. Someone that can push the Hedgehog over his limits, and someone that's there to take care of the Hedgehog and his friends. Knuckles, while being naive, can make great decisions. And this is why Movie Knuckles is the best yet. Knuckles the Echidna is a character that was introduced in 1994 and was introduced to be a main rival to the Hedgehog. He was supposed to be what Shadow is now. Someone who's a rival to Sonic while having less speed, but he had extra strength. He was a very popular character at the time and was someone that intrigued fans as well. The Echidna's red clashes against the Hedgehog's blue, red referring to strength and power while blue representing speed and freedom. A perfect way to make these two rivals. Not only that, but Knuckles had a character design that was fantastic. His locks that made him look outside and different in comparison to every other character. His big old fist referring to his strength. And of course, like I said earlier, his red fur referring to his power and strength that comes with his character. I think Sega did really well with his design and was the reason that Knuckles was so popular back in the day. But unfortunately, since his introduction in 1994, his character began to slowly fall off into a decline, especially after one of the most popular characters were introduced. Before I begin, I would appreciate if you guys like and subscribe for more anime, manga, and general fictional content. And with that, I hope you all enjoy. Knuckles in the games was introduced in the third version of the game, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. He was used by Dr. Eggman because Sonic beat him in super form and his power was too much. The Doctor had no options, and so the best thing he could come up with is manipulate the Echidna. The first thing we see of this character is knocking away the emeralds from the Hedgehog after Sonic defeated Eggman in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This was insane to me at the time because we never seen the super form ever get hurt. Or if it did get hurt, it was gameplay styles and it was just rocks hitting him or he gets hit by a boss. There's no brain damage, there's nothing, he just gets knocked back. So this whole beginning of Knuckles' character was a little insane because back then we didn't know Super Sonic had any limits to begin with, and the fact you're able to knock out his super form was very impressive. This also shows us the overpowering strength that Knuckles had, not only by his design but because he was able to do this as well. And with his chuckle, it gave us a little bit of his character traits as he seems like someone who would laugh at his opponent's issues during a fight. Even for a pixelated story, it was obvious that he's someone who seems very confident over his skills and his power. We didn't need any voice acting at the time, one because the story was very simple, and two because the pixelation that they show us tells us what is going on in the story anyways. But there is something that we also learn about this character, and that's that he's very naive and is someone who will trust information without a second opinion. That is the main reason Eggman was able to trick the Echidna to do his bidding by defeating Sonic and then taking the emeralds away from him. Later in the game, we get a fight between the Hedgehog and the Echidna, as the two of them had their rival fight and the victor was Sonic. Of course, there was something wrong. Without realizing it, Knuckles was betrayed by the Doctor as he has stolen the Master Emerald right behind the Echidna. Echidna tried to get the Master Emerald back, but he couldn't, as Eggman knocked him out of the air and into the ground before escaping. Then and there, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles will fight together to defeat the Doctor. A fight that was shown from the image in Angel Island, and so he helped Sonic fight Eggman. It took a super form to defeat the Doctor at once, But once it was over, the three of them had become friends. At least that's what the story was telling us at the time. This was a great introduction to his character, someone who, while naive, is very strong and has strong morals to protect the island. Not only this, but is very trusting for the betterment of his island and his friends. His characterization with Sonic was also there, and it makes his character so great from the very beginning. The main problem is the longer we get to know Knuckles, the worse his character becomes. The first time he was becoming worse as a character was during Sonic Adventure. I realized there was something off about his character because it seems like Sega was recycling his character from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now, there could be an argument that maybe they're recycling his story because other fans haven't played the original 3 games. But I do believe it does feel like it's a little bit of a problem because his character in the other 3 games not only connect to the story, but they're needed to explain these characters. This is why Knuckles was again tricked by Eggman and he was betrayed by the Doctor again. This happened not too long ago, so why would he trust the Doctor? Especially because why would he trust the Doctor over his rival slash friend? It just doesn't make any sense. As much as Sonic and Shadow fight, in the future the two of them know when to trust each other and they work together a ton when needed. Not all the time, but when there are situations they do so. I will go on that in the future, but it's frustrating that this character was recycled in this game for no reason. Now with Sonic Adventure, his character doesn't really develop at all. Honestly, it gets worse and it's just a recycling over Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is frustrating. You see, what makes it truly frustrating with Sonic Adventure Knuckles is that he saw Chaos destroy the Master Emerald, which was the reason for the worst gameplay style of any Sonic game in the early 2000s. Though there might be one that's worse than this one. But this isn't one talking about gameplay, so I won't go any deeper on that. Either way, Chaos had destroyed the Master Emerald, which made the island drop, but more importantly made Knuckles go find all the pieces. When he went through Central City, he finds Eggman with Chaos, and instead of fighting against Chaos, he shows his naivety again and trusts Eggman. Now, trusting Chaos is one thing, but trusting the man who backstabbed you not too long ago makes it very frustrating. Especially with his character, but it doesn't ruin him entirely. After all, it just shows that he isn't very smart and is trusting way too much. The problem is that his character recycles, like I said earlier. It's basically the same story from Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Adventure, at least in his story arc, his only specific one, since his ending isn't truly canon to the actual story. The coolest thing we do learn about his character is the background of the Echidna clan and how it relates to Chaos and the Master Emerald and why he's there to protect it. Outside of that, his character didn't really develop, it just stayed the same since it was just Sonic 3 and Knuckles recycling of his character. He was betrayed by Eggman in the end and perfect chaos was made where Super Sonic took care of it and then that was over. Very frustrating, but at least we get some lore drops over the Echidna tribe that made his character at least a little better, even though he fell for the same thing again. But recycling characters isn't truly bad, just don't do it as consistent. Give him a story arc where he continues to progress, then it'll be alright. In Sonic Adventure 2 we get a better story for all the characters in the hero's story, but we see a change in Knuckles' role from a rival because it was stolen by Shadow in the game to more of a friend who can look out and protect his friends. Now, you don't have to be a rival to Sonic for you to become a good character. You can advance a character from one role to another, but it seems Knuckles was the only here to have a rivalry with Rouge in the story. Just like how Tails was a rival to Eggman and Sonic was a rival to Shadow. His character was one who was fooled by Eggman, but it wasn't like he was manipulated by Eggman in this one at least. Eggman just tried to steal the Master Emerald immediately, and Knuckles went to go ahead and grab it instead, and Knuckles realized he wasn't going to do anything, and so he destroyed the Master Emerald, and his journey from Sonic Adventure 1 was remade in this game. This is much better because he wasn't betrayed, he wasn't manipulated. Eggman just tried to take it away from him, and he said, "Nah, I ain't allowing that." And so it's much better in this way. But his character didn't have much development in this game, but what was there was very effective, as we see Knuckles join Sonic and the others after they explain the situation, and they all realize they have similar goals, while continuing to do his own goal at the same time. Not only that, but he wasn't manipulated by Eggman, a good change in his story and one that isn't recycled like it was in Sonic Adventure. And it seems as though Knuckles' character was developing more and more every game now. In Sonic Heroes, nothing really developed Knuckles, so I won't go too crazy in that. The only people that really developed in that story are the speed characters in the stories. Outside of that, only Team Chaotix really advanced as characters because they didn't really have anything outside that Knuckles and Chaotix game back then. Everyone developed equally in that game, but for Knuckles, he was just in Sonic Heroes as the hero group for the mess of it, since it didn't involve Angel Island. But hey, he did have a bubble super form. Yes, we know he has a super form called Hyper Knuckles. I don't know why he didn't use it. Tails has a super form too. I don't know why he didn't use it. They have bubbles instead. I'm not gonna go too crazy on it. I think it's a little frustrating, but it doesn't ruin his character, so I'm not gonna go too crazy on that at all. Either way, I'm not gonna go too far into this game because his character doesn't develop that much. But this is the first game that started his downward spiral as a character. In Shadow the Hedgehog, he was just helping Shadow to defeat aliens, or like Shadow likes to call them,
disgusting black creatures. Get out of my sight.
For Sonic 06, Knuckles didn't even do anything, just like Tails, so he didn't develop. And the same thing with Secret Ring, same thing with Black Knight, same thing with Sonic Unleashed. Do you realize a pattern? Knuckles' character is being forgotten as a character, and his overall purpose as a character doesn't get back to how he was, a protector and someone that can help Sonic. But he can be a little idiotic at times because he's a bit naive. But from Sonic Adventure 2, it will help the group as long as it helps with his journey to protect the Master Emerald. And what is going on with his character in these latter games, it seems as if nobody understands his character, because even in Generations and Lost World, his character is either non-existent or he's just a friend of Sonic. Someone that's... It seems that the writers didn't understand his character, though especially when Sonic Boom was created, Knuckles was a blockhead. While that is similar to Knuckles, everything about Knuckles was changed, from his purpose as a character, to being too dumb for his own character, to making him seem like a jock who is a feminist, but outside. And that is the worst version of Knuckles. His design, his jokes, everything about him was frustrating for Knuckles fans back when that originally released. The best version of Knuckles that we've seen in games recently is Sonic Frontiers. Now, while he did help, he was able to give wisdom on the world that they were in, and it was a nice breath of fresh air. He isn't a general like they tried to do him in Forces, and he isn't an idiot completely like they did in Boom. He is a naive character who trusts others too much, and if they backstab him, then it would be hard for them to earn his trust again, even though he would give them the benefit of the doubt. Either way, he seemed like someone who can guide Sonic throughout the game and made him feel better than he ever was in the past, which gives me hope for the future of his character, because his character is still flawed for now, and hopefully he continues to adapt as a character and has a reason for his character instead of repeating the same story arcs again and again, or even worse, making a complete idiot that's not his character. especially when there seemed to be no end in sight for his character. And like the author didn't know where he should be as a character at all. But there is hope for the future. And the reason there's hope for the future is because of the best version of Knuckles. This is where I would like to introduce the best version of Knuckles, and that's his movie version. This version of Knuckles is practically perfect, especially with his development that continues to grow from film to TV show to the recent film. To understand his character, let's start from the beginning of the story. And so, Sonic Movie 2 adapted Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This is a brand new Knuckles, so showing the story of his overall basis makes sense. Unlike in games like Sonic Adventure 1, where we have already seen his past, showing who he is as a character is fine for a film, especially because many people may not know the character. With that, all we get introduced to Knuckles by was walking through a portal, one that was opened by bird creatures. They seem to be related to Longclaw and how it goes with the war between the bird creatures and the Echidnas, but it seems the war was over and Knuckles is the only in the left. It seems Eggman used Knuckles to escape from the mushroom planet he was sent on after the first film, and this is when the manipulation of Knuckles began. Knuckles in this film seems to be way bigger than Sonic was in the original film, as Sonic looked very small. This could be a reference to his overall strength, which is a nice design choice. But we don't have to wait for long for our guess to be answered, as the fight between Sonic and Knuckles was early. Eggman and Knuckles came in for a surprise attack, which now that this is mentioned, maybe Tom should move out because the main big bad knows where the hedgehog lives. Anyways, with their first fight together, we see as the immense strength of Knuckles as he was completely demolishing Sonic in their first fight. It was so bad that they ran away with Tom's cop car, though we see as Tom's car was demolished after Sonic and Tails escaped, and so they went to the basement that Sonic was originally found by Tom. This is where we get the purpose of what Sonic and Tails have to do. They have to find the Master Emerald. I would like to add that we get to see a lovely representation of Knuckles' character in this scene. He is a warrior, someone who will trust his allies with his life, and is naive when people manipulate him in believing they're both towards the same goal, when we know the Doctor is tricking him. It's just a fantastic representation of his character in this film, in comparison to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, as the film was able to show how Knuckles felt during situations and how genuinely felt like he found someone who can help him with his goal. The adventures of Sonic and Tails began, and it was a lot of fun for the two of them, showing how childish Sonic and Tails were. They need an older influence, one that can teach them right from wrong or give them a good area of expertise for them to understand situations. I want y'all to keep this in the back of your head because it relates to Knuckles in the future. Though once they arrived to the high peak of Snow Mountain, there was a statue of an owl. They all had coordinates to Angel's Island, and the way to get there, of course, and you need to press it down onto a pedestal where it makes a giant river or the ocean come open into Angel's Island so they can go get the Master Emerald. Of course, when Sonic and Tails were caught, Sonic used a piece of the egg robo to snowboard down while Tails flew, and it was similar to one of the Sonic Adventure stages, which is really cool to see. Another keynote for Knuckles' character was shown here, as even though he's a warrior, he's still able to have fun, which is why he destroyed one of the egg robos and did the same thing as Sonic. Of course, this was also the fastest route, so it does make sense for him to do so anyways. Before Sonic and Tails could escape though, Sonic and Knuckles had a serious conversation between the two of them, one that was powerful for both characters. Seeing how Knuckles and Sonic were going over their trauma, this is the first moment when he realized that his story was the same as Sonic, at least when it comes with their family and how they were gone. Knuckles lost the Echidna clan from the war, while Sonic lost Longclaw because of the war as well. Even if they were older, the two would be enemies against each other in the dumb war that took away their people. It's a great way to show how similar these two characters are by their pain, something that we didn't see in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles or Sonic Adventure. It was nice to see for both of these characters. This made Knuckles realize that he is similar to the Hedgehog and was very powerful for him as a character. This is the first time he began to have doubt over his actions he was doing. But seeing how the Hedgehog just escaped, he didn't think much about it. Of course, Eggman now had what was at the peak of the mountaintop, which means they can go to Angel Island and take control of the Master Emerald. Knuckles did this to gain the Master Emerald because it was the power of the Echidna clan. Not long after, we get the final fight between Sonic and Knuckles, a fight where it showed that the two were even. Sonic had more speed, but Knuckles had more strength. The rivalry between the two in this fight was great, and we never really got a victor of this round. Why? Because the Doctor took the Master Emerald and transformed into a transcendent state, the first ever Super Eggman, and what it seems in which he made the Death Egg Robo later on. Knuckles realized he was betrayed and his character breaks. He realized that not everyone can be trusted, and when Eggman flew away, he felt defeated. A sincere talk with Sonic and Knuckles was given as his character developed and Knuckles became something greater, a friend of Sonic and Tails, someone who will fight with them against the Doctor. The three of them fight and basically fail till Sonic turned super and destroyed Eggman and his egg Robo. This is a perfect representation from Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Movie 2, and gave us a Knuckles that was perfectly adapted then. Not only did he become a protector and a warrior, but he is still naive and cares for his friends, so much in fact that he believes their words. He doesn't get fooled or more than once either. He gets adapted and continues to adapt and have values with his character. It is fantastic to see, especially after the direction the games were going in. The movie came in before he got some development in Frontiers, which was nice to see for his character. He's continuing to develop more and more as a character every movie, film, or TV show he's in. Instead of just being a friend of Sonic and Tails who didn't have much emotion outside of a supporting cast, he was someone greater. Sonic Movie 3 was a perfect clash of Knuckles as a character, and it showed all the development he's had from the movie to the TV show to this film. And while he wasn't the main focus of the film, he had very strong moments throughout the film. Not only did he seem to protect and care about his friends, but was a warrior and someone who wasn't going to back down from a fight, which is why he has shadowed the fight, showing his naivety still. His strongest moment though was after Shadow knocks out Tom. He gave Sonic insight and was someone who was able to read the inside in people's headspace, and even talked to Sonic, trying to make him realize that what he was doing was wrong. But even if Sonic didn't listen, he let him do his mistake, even if it meant a bad fate. He knew there was nothing he could do to stop his younger sibling unless it's to fight them one-on-one. He didn't stop Sonic, but what he did was save him from his mistakes later on. After Sonic and Shadow pushed back the arc, Sonic fell from space, and that's when Knuckles came in to save him. This is the strongest representation of his character because it shows how much he cares, how he's an older brother of the three of them, and how He can understand people. He understands the rage that Sonic was in, which is why he let him go out there and he let him have the consequences that he had. But he wasn't gonna let his sibling die. He wasn't gonna let his friend die. That's why he was fantastic in this film. It is more than he's done in the games, and it is something that he continues to go through and evolve in this film. He becomes a fantastic character, one that makes him even better than the game. Unlike the games, he doesn't falter. There is a place and mind where a character is going. He's not a rival, he's not an enemy, he's not just a Sonic friend. He is a friend who seems like an older brother and helps his family with the goal in mind and makes him into a completely amazing character. It's like that one homeboy that will tell you, hey bro, that's wrong, man. What are you doing? Like, he is that man that is telling you, what are you doing? You're acting like an idiot. And even if you go and do it, he gets you out of there and saves you. That's why Sonic Movie 3 Knuckles is fantastic. This is why Sonic Movie 3 Knuckles, or Movie Knuckles, is the best version of Knuckles. And I hope I get to continue to enjoy the character. Hopefully he continues to develop, or he helps develop other characters, because he definitely has a great introduction for a character. It continues to advance every movie and become an even greater character than he is now.